everyone. This is Samir Kumar Saha, your host in the podcast, The Experience Business. Guys, you know that customer experience has a direct impact on revenue, but a great customer experience requires a deeper level of personalization, which is not achieved by the inbound marketing used by the enterprise B2B companies selling their high-end products or the services. And the real reason is that it is not personalized for the specific business accounts. And account based marketing in the enterprise B2B is addressing that, because account based marketing is enabling B2B marketers to carry out personalized marketing campaigns for the prospects. Still, many ABM programs fail, and we know that we all know that there is no one size fits all ABM program, but still there is a huge confusion. Many businesses fail to choose the right type of ABM strategies for themselves. So in today's podcast, we are going to discuss with Kim Marie Ruquet on the strategies to select the right ABM. Welcome, Kim, first of all.
Oh, hey. Hi, Samir. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me today.
Kim is an enterprise marketing leader, and she is a B2B practitioner, growth strategist, and has been a marketing director of various enterprise companies like Oracle, Pivotal Software, SDL Web Content Management as a senior marketing director, serving in the countries like North America, Middle East, and Japan. So she's a very senior leader in the marketing domain. And today we are going to demystify what kind of ABM strategies that we need to choose. Kim, how was our experience in the previous appearance on the LinkedIn, right? That was really funny. You supported it really well.
Oh, it was hysterical, but it was fun. We had a good time. So that's all that mattered.
Now,
We got our
honestly speaking, it was my first experience, and I just tried for the first time. Viewers, you won't believe that I invited Kim for the first time. We are just having just a basic conversation around marketing and ABM strategies, and I just disclosed this to Kim that I have just got the LinkedIn Live very recently, and I would like to be on LinkedIn. And she just motivated me to come on LinkedIn. And because of her, right, I was able to come live within 5 minutes. You won't believe, without any preparation, no agenda, and it was all good. And Kim supported me so good.
Oh, thank you, Samir. Of course.
All right, Kim. So coming back to the topic, right, for the listeners and the viewers, we all want to know that what type of ABM strategy a company should choose. There are types of ABM strategies like one to many, one to few, or one to one, targeting various accounts. So according to you, what type of ABM strategy a company should choose?
Thank you, Samir. So before I go into that, I did want to reiterate that account-based marketing, often called ABM, is an organizational strategy to create revenue.
Okay.
And it's the same as business to business marketing, like you talked about, B2B strategy, but it's more of a focused approach and not as broad. Like B2B can get very broad. So with that being said, there are 3 different approaches that I'll address, just like you talked about: the one-to-one, the one-to-few, and the one-to-many. And how do you decide what's right for your business? What's right for you? So the one-to-one approach, I always start with that one because most people, when they start, depending on this type of business that they are, if they're an enterprise or a small to medium business, SMB, one-to-one is still applicable to SMB, but so that's why I start with one-to-one. So one-to-one is an approach with existing customers that you may have. And the reason that I start with that is you pick your target accounts, and they're high valued accounts. And with SMBs, sometimes they might be going to, and I just went through this with a consulting position I was just recently in, and that was a company that was established overseas in Asia and was coming into the US market. So they didn't have any accounts to be customers in a one-to-one. So we did, however, make a list of target accounts. And what the approach with that is, you identify accounts that most often, they're usually customers that have landed, and you want to expand their footprint in the technology and add revenue and streams that come in, or their contracts up. They're just high value accounts and relationship focus. It's high level personalization. It's the most investment in your marketing dollars in an ABM. And it's resource. It eats up a lot of resources for time and resources across your infrastructure, your team, your global team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the deals are larger and you get more return on your investments. And then you have the one to few, which is customers and prospects. And one to few is, again, it's targeted accounts, it's account-based marketing. The targets that you select, though, are in groups, they're subgroups. So you might enter a market and your industry vertical might be retail, manufacturing, financial services, could be any of
Mm-hmm.
them. You select your three top high ones,
Mm-hmm.
two or three, and then within that, the next level is you select 5 to 25 accounts per vertical. So, for
Mm.
instance, when I worked at Oracle, we selected our top tier accounts in financial services in the
Oh.
New York, and you can go regionalize it too, in the New York metro area. In Chicago had 25, in the different areas where there was financial services. And
Mm-hmm.
with that, it's still relationship building. It's still personalization. It's just a tad bit uh, smaller than the personalization that you do with one-to-one. Um, it is very targeted. It's moderate marketing investment for it. So I like
Mm-hmm.
to always bring the money in because I never know what stage people are at in B2B. I don't know what their marketing dollars are or spend. And then the one to many, it's often referred to ABM at scale. And that's exactly what it is. You
Mm-hmm.
scale out to prospects and net new opportunities and net new customers that you're trying to engage, attract, and activate, and then, of course, measure. And those are, in this approach, technology, your technology stack really plays into this. And that would be your marketing automation, your email marketing systems, any of your social, anything that you do is ads, any of your digital marketing, that all plays a big role. It's really technology
Mm-hmm.
focused,
Mm-hmm.
more so than the one-to-one face-to-face that you
Mm-hmm.
would have with account-based marketing one-to-one.
Okay.
Um,
Great, great. So, as far as I understand, right, any successful ABM campaign is always balances one of the three measures. That is the likelihood of a given target account buying, or the resources required to acquire them as a customer, and also definitely the potential ROI to your business if they convert, right? But is there any size required for the team? Let's say if in case someone chooses one of these, right? How many accounts in general you see in the practice, right? People should go about if they choose one to one or one to many or one to few.
I think there's one thing that an ABM practitioner has to do is
Mm-hmm.
really assess their market and their target market. And that
Mm.
starts with identifying their target addressable market and understanding how many they're trying to reach. And if they have an existing install base that they're trying to upsell and cross sell,
Mm-hmm.
if they have partners and prospects, because you are still, some people only have partner programs,
Mm-hmm.
ABM, the strategy in itself is applicable across all of those. So um, there isn't one, you wouldn't do it if you only have 100 accounts because they're all one-to-one.
Mm.
It's really when you're trying to penetrate and expand your market share and
Mm-hmm.
expand out your business and grow. So it's growth marketing. So
Oh, so I mean, speaking only from the point of view of smaller teams, I mean, the startups are coming up who are targeting to enterprises. If they are, let's
okay,
say, only
so
5 to 10 people marketing team, I think the 5 to 10 people is still bigger for these people, right? What is the approach that they should have initially? They should focus on one to many or like one to one.
So that's a great question. And resources is really what you have to look at. So when
Mm.
you decide on what approach you're going to take, whether one to one, one to few, or one to many, you really need to look at who is your support team in marketing. But one thing we're missing here too, as well, as how big is your sales team and how fast are you growing in the sales revenue?
Mm.
So when you select it, I know many marketers that are in S&B, and there's three of them, and what they produce is amazing, and how they interact. And they'll have a marketing operations person and somebody who does product marketing and content marketing, or a writer,
Mm.
and then they're actually doing all the other things, including event and field. and they are doing ABM. It's just another bucket, something else on that bucket. And with that being said, I think when you interlock with sales, you really determine your resources. And if you're an SMB, you start out with a pilot
Hmm.
because you want to see if it's going to work, and then prove yourself to the executives and the leadership team and sales that it's successful, and you're able to, and usually with that you're bringing in revenue, they give you more team members.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
No,
SME definitely can utilize the approach in any of them. If they're trying to build their business, they can do more on the one to many and
hmm.
do use the technology
Hmm.
to
You know,
extend out.
when the people come to me saying that, how Samir, how should we go about account based marketing? And yes, this is the first question I asked, that how many people that you have in your team. And I know that there are so many technology stacks available to find the data, intent, customer, right? Because there's so many tech stack available in the market. And if the team is small, I say that blindly, I say that, okay, you have the LinkedIn. And I think if you are small, even a one founder, LinkedIn can be the best platform to leverage the account based marketing to start with. That can
Yes,
be
yes, that's true.
that could be just a one person creating a content, and then targeting using the sales navigator by filtering the accounts and then going ahead.
Yeah. But one thing people have to remember, it is personalized. There is
Yes, yes.
personalization, and that's very important with account-based marketing. That separates out with B2B, whereas you craft the message and you push it out, whereas with account-based marketing, you devise
Mm-hmm.
the messaging that you're conveying to your opportunities
Yeah.
by a committee of people within,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the accounts that you're targeting and their pain points, and you're coming up with a solution.
Yeah,
Right.
right. The way you choose the ICP, ideal customer profile, it's not going to be the same for one to many, one to few, or one to one. So what's the basic criteria that you think for each type of ABM? At least the top two, three criteria, if you can share with us, for each type of accounts the people should consider, will be great.
Right. So again, to set the level field on that, the ideal customer profile is
Mm-hmm.
who are you selling to? And with that being said, there's a baseline that
Mm-hmm.
goes across one to one to few, and one to many. And that's, the firmographics and the
Yeah.
segmentation, the annual revenue, the company size, geographics, all that stuff. But the top 2 to 3 criteria is like with one to one, you know, um, it already fits the criteria, but there's buying signals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's buying signals for expansion, whereas maybe your products and services have new features and functionalities, and there's an opportunity to upsell and cross sell
Mm-hmm.
those accounts, or there's a buying signal because um, buyer intent, maybe you have insight data that they're looking at competitive technology and their contracts coming up, and you're looking for them to renew with you and not churn, so you can keep the residual revenue. um, with one to few, they too fit the ideal customer profile, but it also will include brands that are often referred to as logos
Mm-hmm.
that will offer strategic value. So with one to few, there are customers and prospects I mentioned in it, but maybe they're not that high value of a one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're large strategic accounts. They're critical to the business. And even with an SMB, it's the same. When you have that ideal customer profile, it's, what's their revenue? What are you trying to achieve? And what will your partnership be with them?
Mm-hmm. And you
And
already, I think, mentioned also when you were giving the introduction about one to one, right? You already said that it's always best to start with one to one when you already have the existing customer, to look for like how best we can sell the other products or the services within the same account by nurturing them about the new things that you are coming up with, right?
yes, and also the another thing with the one-to-one is that you want to make sure that because it's an existing customer and upsell and cross-sell, you
Mm-hmm.
also want them to at some point become your global brand advocate. You
Yeah.
want them to be your customer reference. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. And there's really no monetary dollar to put on that, but market value is unbelievable because people buy from reference. When you go to a restaurant, you look on your phone. It goes by reviews and what people say about your business or whatnot. So you want to make sure that you have that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you just mentioned about the buying intent. Many people get wrong in actually choosing or identifying the buying intent for the account. So mostly there's a confusion among the people that MQL is actually the buying intent. What is that the people making wrong identifying the right buying intent for an account?
That's a great question because I think you'll see MQLs in the marketing world in the next 3 to 5 years definitely fade out. Marketing
Yeah.
qualified leads was really based off of lead scoring, based off of actions taken, download, um, watched a video,
Mm-hmm.
went to the site, read a blog, and known or unknown, right? Because there are tools out there that we track all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that is one of the confusion about the actions that a prospect or a customer takes,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on your website or in person or goes to an event. Just because they're there, there's confusion on that because they may not fit the ideal customer profile, and they may not be anything but somebody that's looking for a job,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
mhm. And then another common error is that they're not investing in buyer intent data tools like Zoom Info and Bombora. And I know SMBs can't do that because of the cost structure to it, but
Yes.
Zoom Info now has an SMB, but also you can use Sales Navigator and see the
Yeah.
buying. You can follow people and read the news and do market research and understand what the person is doing that's coming to your site and if they are of value once you identify them.
Mm-hmm.
And then marketers, they just have, they're not able to interpret the data analytics and the action that it's taking, right? Because once these tools are there, the analytics tools, that doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, there's tons of data, and how does it extrapolate and then pull it all together into one view
Mm-hmm.
of what is actually happening? And a lot of times that data is skewed or inaccurate. So that's another thing. So that's why it's even more important that sales and marketing are always interlocked on
Mm.
what identifies the best account and what actions do they take that the hands is raised and it's flipped over to sales, that this is an account you identified, and somebody and these 10 people in the buying center actually took action and at least call them and identify whether it's an SDR or if it's a direct account rep.
Mm. Mm.
It's a very tight model with
Mm.
sales in identifying the accounts. So with one-to-one, you know who those are, whether you choose 5 accounts, 25 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
One to few, again, it's 150 accounts,
Okay.
prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you work with them. But with the one to many,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problems occur, or that's where you decide they're not, and you put them back to nurture or
Mm-hmm.
into another, because that one is where if you decide on the one to many approach, you really need to tightly identify what is going to bring that customer on the journey and bring them over to sales, and sales will accept them as an opportunity and convert them to an opportunity.
Mm. What you're saying is that there's no point jumping immediately, and rather pause and take a step back and see that what is actually the right intent of the customer and if they are ready or not. The tight alignment between the sales and marketing is required, as you already mentioned. What are the top areas where sales and marketing teams should collaborate in each type of ABM?
Well, sales and marketing should always be
Mm-hmm.
collaborating
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the level of the ABM.
Mm-hmm.
We're not marketing to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
The accounts that we identify
Mm-hmm.
or should be identifying are actually the sales account lists that they
Mm.
come into the company, and whether you have 2 salespeople or 10 or 100 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they have an assigned account list, and they
Mm.
need to tier those account lists: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then you decide. And from those, you
Mm-hmm.
decide if you choose an ABM one-on-one campaign approach, then you need to determine which of those accounts will be in that pool. If you choose
Mm-hmm.
to do one to few and
Mm-hmm.
customers and prospects, then you need to decide on that too. And I think if you really tie it in that and working together, those are the areas that they have to work together and identify. And
Mm.
sales needs to also be engaged with the ideal customer profile.
Mm-hmm.
What is the ideal customer? What are the pain points that they see in the market that that would identify that, yes, this, what are the yes signals? What are the check marks
Hmm.
that sales says, yes, if this, and this, then these are the opportunities should come over to me, that lead, that prospect.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, now what should be the key marketing tactics used by each
That's
ABM
Yeah, no,
types?
that's
Yes.
perfect. So one-to-one is really personalized, and it's relationship building, and it's one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a committee of people involved. It's face-to-face meetings, it's online and offline, it's executive relationships, it's, direct mail, custom content, landing
Mm.
pages that are account logoed. It could be anything of many things, but it's really focused and targeted in messaging and newsletter and everything, branding on it and everything. And then with one to few approach, it's email marketing as well, direct marketing, webinars, custom content too,
Mm-hmm.
which includes like videos, webinars, podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
website personalization, events. With one to one approach, though, also that's when you um, years ago, I did an event with SunGuard Availability Services up in Pennsylvania. And what I did was I bought 100 tickets to the zoo,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave it out so that every on my buying committee,
Mm-hmm.
I gave it out to them, and they all received. I said, how many in your family, how many tickets you want, and I mailed it to them. So
Mm.
I gave them an Oracle day at the zoo. And
Mm-hmm.
when they got there, they got all little packages, and then they all went in, but it was a family day. Like they didn't have to do anything with Oracle, but they got the swag, they got free tickets, and they got a free day out with the family.
Mm.
Hmm.
I remember that in one of the professional groups of marketers, right, one guy asking a question that he was trying to create a dedicated landing page for a particular account so that all the resources will talk about only that particular company. And that was a good strategy. How common do you see this kind of strategy being used by the companies
Oh,
in the
I
enterprises?
see I see it. It's IT constraining, but I will tell you there is tools that are out there, and I do see it. That's a great segue. I do see a lot of it, and people making portals, portal pages, I call them.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I see that a lot more, and I see that up and coming for the next phase of B2B marketing. I mean,
Mm.
AB.
It is going to be really resource intensive, 100 separate accounts, and for each separate accounts, right, having a dedicated website or sub websites and then resources going to be huge
Yeah, that is
for.
huge. That's why you have a dedicated ABM one-to-one.
Mm.
And you have to really define that. And that's a great segue, because that's one of the things when you decide on how you're going to move forward with account-based marketing
uh,
is what are the resources, and then the wish list and the can wish, the can do list, right? Because there's a wish list, and sales wants everything, and
mm,
marketing is here to provide everything to them, because we
mm.
all are a part of the revenue pool. Um, but yeah, that's really smart about the resources.
Yeah, so we can always come up with a new idea to try out in which others are not trying in the market.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, Kim. So I have a next question, which is about metrics. So what are the common metrics should be careful about in ABM, and which one we should choose for every kind of ABM?
Well, all of them you have to have metrics for all of them, and
Mm, mm,
and they all really, it's average deal size, it's ROI, it's win rate, it's the sales cycle, the length of the sales cycle. If it's a customer, it's probably shorter. Um, Retention rate, and then of course the net promoter score on how well
mm.
you do in the customer satisfaction.
Okay.
And when you look at your accounts, it really goes back to really doing research on your accounts and determining what's their account value, right? What is the revenue value, the annual
Mm,
contract value that'll come in? Some people call it ACV.
mm,
um, with those accounts. Like, what is your hopes? What did you determine to be the dollars? It's a whole model to it, but those are the areas that you want to look at: the contract value, win rate, the sales cycle,
mm.
uh, length.
I think the pipeline growth is something which is common across all. What I don't see, especially in the one to many, is the rate at which the deals are closed.
The win rate, you've already closed them. It's a new close, it's a new deal. So you're
Mm.
expanding that revenue stream. So there's two pieces: is that you want to continue your existing revenue stream, and then of course expand the dollars on it.
Mm.
Um, I think with what you were talking about, pipeline. So that would be determined right off the bat. And you should have a baseline. If you don't, you're going to have to start working with sales and say, well, what do you tell the sales leadership team? What do
Mm.
you say when you have 5 accounts and they're $550,000 each? How much are they going to come in at? What's your drop off rate or close rate? What's your win rate, lose rate? Why do you lose? All stuff like that. When you drop down into prospects or customers and prospects, you're going to
Mm.
see a higher turnover of and a longer sales cycle, only
Mm.
because you are paying attention, you are personalizing, and they fit your ideal customer profile. However, again, they're net new. You're starting from the front, branding, awareness, and bringing them through the customer journey and through the pipeline.
Mm.
So to get them to take action and take interest and um, raise their hands and signal that they're ready to buy or they need more information. I think the second ladder too is a longer sales cycle. But
Mm.
then,
Mm.
and if it's one-on-one, or if it's the customers that are one to few, if the higher the sales deal, the more complex the sales deal, the longer the sales cycle. But
Mm.
the objective of account-based marketing is to shrink the time and the length of the sales cycle.
Mm.
Did I answer your question?
That I was just thinking, yes, you're right. It gets complex for each type of ABM strategy. And sometimes, people tend to use one metrics from other. What you said is completely right. And pipeline growth is anyway old metrics. Uh, you already made it a point that the MQL strategy, right? It's going to diminish in the near future. So anyway, those metrics cannot be counted, at least in this ABM strategy. Okay. Do you think that people should also use inbound still, or like the enterprises should leave inbound marketing?
Oh no, I think they should absolutely use it in parallel with account-based marketing. I believe
Mm-hmm.
they're an overlay. They work very well together. Inbound marketing is people coming to you, and you still need to have content marketing. You still need to have the awareness and the SEO and the marketing and the blogs and the events and the search engine optimization. That's inbound marketing. That's somebody
Mm.
doing a search engine. You still have to, and you still have to utilize paid search, because when somebody does a search in Google, you want to make sure they land on your page.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being that it's not going to go away is because you don't know. When you start in business, you think you know all your customers and all the industries and all the verticals.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the market defines where you should be. And you may come in and have an opportunity to be somewhere else. And you won't know if you didn't have inbounds. So it's inexpensive. It's mostly digital marketing
Mm-hmm.
with a few field events.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do digital marketing, there are many account-based marketing platforms out there that do ads and target ads and search engine optimization. There's marketing tools in the stack that can help.
Mm.
So yeah, inbound marketing is here to stay.
Inbound is not going to go away. I think Sangram in one of the conferences talked about all bound, like mix of ABM and inbound marketing, all bound.
AB, right. Yeah, well, that makes sense, because account-based marketing is outbound.
Mm.
You're reaching out, you're building the relationship, everyone's engaged. So yeah, that's great. I like that.
Yeah. So I guess, you made a very great point, Kim, and it was a great conversation and having you in the show.
Thank you. I just want to leave off. Thank you so much for all the potential ABM practitioners out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's tons of resources out. I do want to recommend the ABM is B2B, Why B2B Marketing and Sales is Broken and How to Fix It. It's a book that Sangram, since you just mentioned.
Yeah. This book is really amazing.
Yeah, so that's a book that I prefer. So I definitely recommend that to anybody who wants to dive deep. He's got models. He goes through his the whole framework of team, and definitely take a look at it. It's on Amazon.
Yes, the book name is ABM is B2B by Sangram Vajre. So thank you so much, Kim.
And thank you for having me. And you have a nice evening.